Hello, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to Seller Smart Incubation Program. It's so great to have you online again. How are you all doing today? How are you all doing, and how's the program been for you? It's so great to have you here again. Yes, we are ready for another impactful session this evening with Mr. Babatunde Ojo. I believe we had an awesome time yesterday learning about a lot of things concerning your pricing, profit margin, and all sorts, right? So you were beginning to understand that entrepreneurship is a real journey, and we know how all the factors of pricing, how to manage our business finances is very necessary to grow and scale our business. And this evening we are ready to learn the topic managing business finances. We are talking about budgeting and cash flow for your business, and this is a very important topic for you as a business owner, because if you don't know how to manage your business funds, it's even going to affect how you can apply for grants and how you can get funding for your business. So this is a very useful information and tool that you need to empower yourself as a business owner for you to be able to grow and scale your business, managing your business, budgeting, managing your cash flow, and all sorts. So I'm not going to I'm not going to give you all the juicy parts. I'm going to let Mr. Babatunde Ojo come online and begin to dissect this topic and bring us in, teach us new things, and empower us once more. So we are so honored to have Mr. Babatunde Ojo on board to this evening. Welcome, sir.
Thank
It's
you
good
very
to have
much.
you here.
Good evening, everyone. Glad to be here again. I hope you had a productive day, and I hope you
Yeah.
get to learn one or two things this evening.
We are looking forward to it, sir. All right, you may have the floor.
Okay, thank you very much. So today we'll be talking about managing business finances, and like I said earlier, or like I said yesterday, that a business is any venture that is embarked upon to make profits. That's what a business is, and to be able to make profits, you would need to do some things. Besides having a product or rendering a service, you should be able to manage your finances well, because that's the backbone of every business. The finances, the money. They say the money makes the world go round, and they say cash is king. So you have to learn how to manage your finances very well. And some of the tools that we use in business management or financial management is budgeting and cash flow. And I'll try my possible best not to come at it as a lecturer, but to explain in a very simple and understandable terms, so you'll be able to put all those things into play in your business. So let's just go right into it. Um, First things first, what is the importance of financial management? Financial management is quite important because it ensures stability and growth of any business. A business that does not manage its finances well will die eventually, because, like I said, finances is the bedrock, the backbone of any business. Mitigates risks of insolvency. That's to guide against um, closing down of the business. I'm sure that you've seen a lot of businesses close down over the years, and one of the reasons, it might not is not usually the only reason. There's so many other factors, but one of the main factors of that is when people don't manage their finances very well. Importance Another important reason for financial management is it supports informed decision making. It's one of the things that affects us in this side of the world, is that we don't use data well. We don't harness data. We don't analyze data well. We don't improve using data. So one of the reasons for financial management is that it helps you with information you need. I mean, it helps you with the information you need to make decisions. It helps you make better decisions in terms of spending, in terms of how to allocate resources. That's what it does. It drives business success. Like I said, it's the number one thing that moves the business forward. Then prevents cash shortages and financial crises. It helps you understand the dynamics between cash and profitability, and then supports growth and profitability. So that's the importance of financial management, and that's why it is key for us to have a level of financial knowledge when handling our business or dealing with our business. It's quite important. You can't run a business without understanding how important financial management is. If not, that business is doomed from the inception. Okay, so let's go to the crux of the matter. What is budgeting? We all do budgeting in our day-to-day activities. A very typical example: you're going to the market and you want to go to the market. You have a list of the things you want to buy. You know how much is available for you to spend, and then you have a list of the things you want to buy. You've portioned the money, and you know that, okay, this is going towards pepper, this is going towards beef, this is going towards oil. That is a form of budget. Do you understand? It's a form of budget. So a budget is a financial plan for a defined period. It estimates revenue and allocates expenses. Then it helps in setting financial goals and making informed decisions. So it's just a financial tool that is used to plan and forecast, for the business, so that you can manage your financial resources well. And that's what the budget is about. As in, it's a document, it's a tool that is used for financial planning. And anybody that does not budget would actually do two things: either run the business aground or be in debt. If you don't know how to budget well, even as an individual, you cannot budget well in your personal life, you'll find yourself seriously in financial problems. So that's why budgeting is a very significant and integral part of businesses. Types of budgets. Because this is not a classroom, we are trying to equip ourselves for running our day-to-day businesses. So like I said, I'm going to try not to be a lecturer or teach you finance or accounting, but just give you the necessary information you need so you can run your business well. So we have the operating budget, which covers your day-to-day activities. That's your day-to-day income and expense activities. And then we have the capital budget, which focuses on long-term investment. When in finance or in business, when we say capital, we're not talking about your the actual money you use to start the business alone. Do you understand? We're talking about futuristic activities that will take 5, 6, 7 years and above. Anything that comes under that category is usually capital, classified under the capital elements of the business. Then a cash flow budget, which talks about the inflow and the outflows of money. Do you understand? As in, that's what the cash flow is, and cash flow is quite important in the business. So we'll talk about that in the later part of this session. Then we have the master budget, which combines all the financial plans, all the different types of budgets is put in a master budget. And I'm sure that you heard about the budget in Nigeria, how the executive has to send the budgets to the National Assembly, and the National Assembly would scrutinize it, oversee it, and then pass that budget. So that budget is how Nigerians spend money, how we receive money, and how we spend money. That's what the budget is about. It's just a guide. It helps you manage your resources better. It helps you understand where you need to put money or where you need not to put money. That's what the budget does for you as an individual. So in your business, you need to learn how to budget well, because if you don't budget well, then you would mismanage resources. It is inevitable that you mismanage resources. So that's why budgeting is quite important and it's necessary. It has to be done on a periodic basis, and then it has to be reviewed also periodically, because things change. Most of these things that we do are not static. They are very fluid and dynamic. So things change. Take, for example, you want to do a party. You want to have a birthday party. Your birthday is coming in the next month, and you do a budget. Okay, so how many people am I expecting? I'm expecting 200 people. So how many plates of rice do I want? How many plates of amala do I want? How many plates of eba? And so all that is budgeting. So you allocate monies to them, and you look at how the money will come. Do you understand? As in, you do that based on the amount of money available for you, or that you project that you would have. So all that is budget. So we budget, we do budgeting every day in every spheres of our life. You understand? So it's not something that is new, but it's something that is very essential. And understanding how it is done and understand how it should be done and why it should be done is very, very important. And that's one of the things that I hope you'll get out of this session today. Okay, sorry, got ahead of myself. Okay, so types of budgets, we've done that. So purpose of budgeting. One, it helps control spending. If you know the amount of money that is coming in, for someone that has a product that has maybe 20 or 30 shoes, that I don't know why I've just been picking on shoes as my main example, but someone that has a particular product and knows the volume of that product, knows how much he or she will get from the sales of those products, has an idea of how much they have. And in that money, they have to be able to, appropriate the funds into, one, restocking, buying more stock to resell. Two, cost of, keeping those stock and maintaining them and managing them, the overhead cost of your staff, your storage, your utilities, and all. So it helps you know how to appropriate money well. Because okay, I'm getting $1 million now. So how do I spend this 1 million that will not be counterproductive to the essence of this business? That's what budgeting does. So it helps control spending. Then, like I said, it helps allocate resources effectively. You know where to put in money. You know when not to, when to reduce costs. You know when not to, and back on some frivolities. Do you understand? You know what the business can afford and what the business cannot afford. That it helps you allocate resources well. Then it helps you set financial goals. Like when we say milestones, or when we say we want to scale a business up, it helps you with that very well. So okay, if I'm starting with 100 shoes, my aim is to get to 2,000 shoes. Do you understand? So with budgeting, you're able to set goals that, okay, if I sell this 100, I'll make this amount of money. With this amount of money, I can buy 120 shoes. And then I sell those ones again. I make this amount of money. I can increase to 150 shoes. That's what budgeting does. It helps you set financial goals, how to manage that resource that you won't eat into your profit and you won't even deplete your capital, your working capital that helps you run the business. That's what budgeting does. That it measures performance. So at the end of the day, you're able to see if you have actualized your budget, if there's any variance between the projected budget and the actual spendings, both income and expenditure of the business. So it gives you a tool to measure performance. So there's always a variance. Like when you do a budget, especially a forecast, when you're doing a forecast, in most times, most often than none, it would not be exactly what would happen. So like when people say, okay, give me your what's it called? This very common thing that investors ask for, your business plan. Your business plan is a projection, it's an estimate, especially for startups, people that are just starting out. It's not going to be accurate. So it is a projection. So most times budgets too are projection, and sometimes they're actual because you have the funds on ground and you know what you have to do. But even at that, it's still a projection, because if you say, I made ₦1 million today and I want to, and so from this ₦1 million, my rent is 100,000, and your landlord comes and says, okay, I'm increasing the rent from next month, and your rent is due next month, but you have calculated in your budget that, okay, for the next rental year, this is how much. And then the landlord comes and says, okay, I'm sorry, it's a short notice, but I'm increasing my budget. Sorry, I'm increasing my rent. Is either you stay or you go. So you know that has affected the budget you have on ground already. So so that's what I'm saying, that sometimes it is projected, but it helps measure performance. It helps you at the end of the year to see that, okay, have I performed well based on the budget I had initially, or have I performed woefully? So it is a measuring tool. So that is about budgets. We'll talk in depth about these things, but I just want to let you understand the concept and what all those things stand for. So sorry, I just because I also have a note somewhere that would help me, put my thoughts in line. So okay, so we talked about. Let me just go back to budget a bit. Let me go back to budget again. So okay, you'd ask yourself, so okay, so how do I present, or how do I make a budget? The first thing is you have to analyze your processes. Do you understand? You analyze your processes in terms of, based on your past experience. For those that have been in business already, you have something, you have a guide from your past operations, your past experience, to help you analyze your budget. For example, last year you were able to do 100,000 turnover. That is a business, that's a benchmark for you. So if you're preparing the budget for this year, it's okay. So last year I was able to do 100,000 turnover. This year I intend to do 150. You understand? I intend to do 150. So you analyze your past financial performance and how you'll be able to achieve that 50% margin or markup that you intend to achieve for this year. Then you estimate your income, that okay, if I did A, B, C, and D, and give me 100,000 turnover, why don't I do A, B, C, D, E, F and get 150? You understand? So it helps you. So it helps you estimate how to scale up. Do you understand? That when you're preparing your budget. So like I said, it's usually forecasted, it's usually projected, because it hasn't happened. It's just anticipating steps that you need to take to make a particular margin of profits. So so when you're preparing your budget, it is an estimate, and it's best to be guided from past financial transactions, or from past financial performance. It helps you budget better for the next year, and that's how businesses keep getting better, because they use data from the previous years to plan for the coming year. And that's what a budget helps us do. It helps us, utilize data from past years, financial performance from past years, to anticipate and to plan for the new year. So in your businesses, you have to find a model that works for you, how you budget, what sort of budget you do. Do you understand? As in, is it a day-to-day budget, depending on kind of business that you do? Is it a week-to-week budget? In business, actually, a budget is meant to be for a year. Financial budgets are usually for a year, but it's not set in stone for small and medium scale businesses. Do you understand? Because realities are different. Take, for example, someone that is that when you check all these food apps, you see vendors, you see on Chowdeck, on what's it called, on Glovo, on Hey Food. You know that some people make food from home. People that do all this Indomie, this fast, all those things, so their budgeting cannot be for 1 year. Maximum, it should be for a week. So they know how much they need to stock for that week. Do you understand? They know how much they need to expend on gas, on oil. So your budget has to be applicable to your business. And it is very important, because if you don't budget well, you will not be able to allocate money well. You don't know how much to keep and how much not to keep. So that's why it is important for you, so that when you have orders, you are able to meet orders, you are able to render the service, you are able to provide the product, because you have created a budget. Okay, so I think that so let's go into cash flow, because you see, cash flow is quite important, because most of the issues people encounter is because they cannot manage money well. They can't manage the inflow and the outflow of their monies well, and it's a very, very deadly slope if you don't know how to do that. And that's what cash flow talks about. It's a measure of the amount of cash that comes into and out of the business, and out of business in a particular period of time. That's what cash flow is all about. When you say something flows, it means that something is moving from one side to the other. That's what when we say something is flowing, it's free flowing, it means that it's moving without hindrance, to and fro. So that's it. So your cash flow is a very, very important ingredient that you must not joke with, because money is the blood in business. Let me repeat it again. Money is the blood in business. The same way a human being cannot survive without blood flowing through their veins, a business cannot survive without money flowing in and out of that business. So cash flow is what helps you capture that. So if you have not been doing your cash flow before, you know today that you have to understand cash flow, because that's the essence of the business. That's the lifeline of the business. So like I said, it's a measure of the amount of cash that comes into and out of your business in a particular period of time. So it is captured within a specific time range. Importance of cash flow. It ensures liquidity for operation. When we say liquidity, it ensures availability of cash. So liquidity means that you have cash, you have enough cash on ground. Some people are rich in assets and some people are liquid. What that means is that for someone, take for example, we have 2 billionaires. One person has assets and one person has cash because of the nature of their business. If a financial opportunity comes that they both want to pursue, who do you think has an edge over the other? And it's a limited opportunity that you must take advantage of. The person with cash, because before the person with assets, converts it to cash, might take some time. If you're going to dispose of an asset, it could take some time, but the person that has cash, that has the money on ground, will just do what? Pay for it. And when I mean money, when I mean cash, I'm not saying literal cash. I'm saying when you have enough liquidity in your bank, whether cash or in your bank account, where there's enough money that you need to meet a need, there's money to pay for it. Unlike someone that needs to dispose of an asset to gain or to get that thing done. So it ensures liquidity for operations. And without money, a business is bound to fail, all things being equal. Then it helps avoid debt or insolvency. It helps you avoid debt because you know how much you're making. So you know that you should not go for something that you cannot afford. And personally, that's one of the things that affects us and puts us in a very financial, a deadly financial position, whereby we don't understand the inflows and outflows of money, and then you want to do things that you cannot afford. You want to buy things that you cannot afford. Your lifestyle, you want to live a lifestyle that you cannot afford, all because you just peer pressure and the various reasons why people do such things. But anyways, it helps avoid debts and insolvency. Insolvency is when you've gone bankrupt, you don't have any money to run the business. Then it supports investment and growth. Because when you have money and you're a businessman and you find out that you have done all that you can in that line of business, then the next thing is to look for another area, look for another business that you can venture in. You need to diversify your portfolio. So it helps you see that you have enough money that should not be just idle, because sometimes money being idle is also counterproductive to a business. So it helps you know how to utilize your funds well. Okay, so what do we need to do? Okay, we will need to invest more in dispatch riders. So let's buy more, because we have enough money. Let's buy more bikes that would help our deliverables. It will help us deliver goods better. It will help our business efficiency, and effectiveness in reaching out to our customers. So that's one of the things that cash flow, understanding your cash flow, helps you do. Then it enables timely payments, because you can see the ins and the outs of money in your business. So when something is due, due to you, when people are meant to pay you, and when you also have to pay your customers or your clients for service or for products that you need for your business. So it helps you understand timeliness of money. There's someone that sells shawarma to me, and she's one of those people that, even though she does not really have the financial understanding of what she's doing, but she does her cash flow excellently. As soon as you get the shawarma, and if you don't pay instantly, within 2 hours, you just see a message from her. Hello, I just say, how are you, sir? I hope you've gotten home. I'm just, she'll send you bank accounts and the amount you're owing her. That is someone that understands cash flow because she knows she needs that money to be able to stock up to produce another. So that's the essence of cash flow, and it is very important for people that businessmen, no matter the scale, no matter the level, no matter the magnitude of your business, cash flow is very important. So what are these cash flow challenges? Some of the cash flow challenges that we have, like I said, with that, just the example I quoted now, that late payment by customers can affect your business. But when you are on top of your cash flow, you know that you cannot keep monies outside for too long. Because if you keep money outside for too long, you will not be able to use money for the things that you need to use it for to generate more money. So it helps you see the need for your receivables to be on point. So some of the challenges that people have is when they don't get paid on time. It affects your cash flow. And it's one of the things that you have to avoid. And the only way you can avoid such things is you have a good understanding of your cash flow in your business. You know that I cannot afford for monies to be out for too long because it would affect my capacity to do my business, especially for those that are, into products or manufacturing. Because if you don't have money to get more raw materials, how are you going to produce and how are you going to sell if people keep owing you and don't pay up on time? So those are the challenges of, like we said earlier, that cash flow is just the ins and the outs of money in your business. And it is something that you have to do very well and understand very well, the importance of how money comes in and how money goes out. So it helps run the business well. So challenges, we're talking about challenges now. We're talking about late payment by customers. When your customers decide not to pay you on time, it's affecting your business. And some people are not so don't understand the impact of those things on their business. And she will pay. Don't worry. One of my clients called me and wanted me to speak to someone because I speak Hausa, by the way. I was born and bred in Kano, so I speak Hausa friendly. But that client of mine had a customer that is a Hausa man that was owing him money, and my client knows that the Hausa man is a scrap, all those scrap metal sellers, and So what happened was my client got him a loan, which the man was defaulting on. So in the bid to find out what was happening, he said, "Okay, let me speak to him in Hausa." So in speaking with the man, I realized that what happened was he was owing, the loan he took was about 2.5 million naira, but he had about 20 million naira with customers outside that hadn't paid him. On a normal day, he should not even have gone for a loan if he understood the things that we're talking about today. He should not, because his business is very viable, that he should not go for. And that's what cash flow helps you do. To understand that, okay, do I need to go and source for money outside? Is my business generating enough cash, that I can, turn the monies over and I wouldn't need to quickly go and get some liquidity outside? That is the essence of cash flow. And that's why you must understand cash flow and use cash flow in your business. So after speaking to him, I told my client, okay, what you can help him do is you can help him strategize on how to get the monies being owed to him. Because if you do that, then he'll be able to clear off the debts and then help him even, put some structure in his business. But he was an illiterate. The man is an illiterate man. So you can expect, you can understand why such thing can happen with such people. But you that you're not illiterate, you have to understand the essence of cash flow. And you have to understand the challenges of cash flow and how it affects your business. 2, overstocking inventory. When you buy things that you don't need, you are tying down capital. You're tying down money that can be used for something that can quickly generate money, that you can quickly turn over your business. So when you buy so much stock and you know that the rate at which you sell is not as fluid as it should be, then you should know how to manage your inventory. You can't afford to buy things that you will not, especially for people that are into, production of one form or the other. You have to be able to optimize your stock, because if you don't learn how to optimize your stock, then you'll be in serious trouble, because you will buy things that you will not need, and you have tied down money, and a need might arise that you need cash for urgently. Because you have tied all your money down in over bloated inventory, you won't have cash to do what? To meet that need, and then you might have to look elsewhere to get cash that might come at an interest that might not be free. So that is why you have to understand cash flow and some of the challenges that we have in cash flow. But if you understand cash flow well, you'll be able to mitigate against these challenges. And that's why I'm bringing up this challenge, so you can see. And I'm sure that in our businesses, we might have one point or the other experience these kinds of challenges. The poor expense management. If you don't know how to manage your cost, whether your direct cost or your operational cost, you would always have cash flow issues. You would also have cash flow issues, and it would affect your business, because without cash, without money, you cannot run a smooth business, or you cannot run your business smoothly. So you need to understand how to manage your expenses. You need to understand how to manage your cost very well. I'll cite an example. You started a business that you can still handle by yourself, but because you want to prove that you're an entrepreneur or you're a businessman, you employ someone that is not needed, it's not necessary. You employ a staff that is not necessary, that is just there, idle, doing nothing. You are eating into the productivity of your business, because you have just incurred an unnecessary expense that you don't need. If you can handle the business by yourself, and you know that everything is still, it's still a small business that you don't really need so much hands, you don't need anybody to help you with, then you do it until you find out, okay, you need more hand to increase your productivity, not getting more hand because you want to feel that you're a boss. Someone came to my office and said, Babati, where's your stuff? I said, I use them on a pay as you go basis, on need. If I don't need them, I don't. So my staff are contract staff, because there's no point keeping them and paying salary when they might not to work in 2 weeks. It just doesn't make any sense. But if there's a need, if there's a project that we're working on, and I can get 20-30 staff like this to come out. So those are the kind of things that understanding cash flow would help you deal with, that you will not just overburden the business unnecessarily. So it helps you. And one of the challenges of cash flow is that if you don't understand cash flow, then you would have poor management, financial management. There's no way it would not happen. It's either you are overpaying, or you can't reduce the cost of your running your business. You understand? So poor expense management. Another challenge is high overheads, like the one I just cited, an example I cited to you now, whereby you've employed more hands, or you are running generator 24/7 when you don't really need to run generator. You understand? You're just incurring costs that are not necessary. They're not directly bringing profit to the business. Do you understand? As in, something that you can take bike to go and deliver, you're ordering bolts because you feel that if I go on bike, see, your product will sell itself. If your product is good and the value is the quality is good, you would sell. I understand that sometimes that impression, you have to create an impression, but as a small and medium business person, you have to understand that you need to bring down your cost to the barest minimum. That will not impact your delivery and will not impact your quality and will not impact your volume. So you have to understand those concepts very well. And if you don't understand that, it puts a pressure on your cash flow. And like we said, cash is the lifeline of any business. So if you're doing things that will put pressure on your cash flow, then you know that you're not doing your business any good. Then you know that most people don't do this. And it is a mindset thing. It's not so much as a practical thing, it's a mindset thing. People don't have cash reserves. The same way people don't save. I'm guilty of that. Even as a financial person, I am very guilty of that. And I'm making conscious efforts to address that you have to save. And that's the same thing in a business. You must have cash reserves that come what may, nothing will touch this money. So if you don't understand your cash flow, even when you have excess money, you won't know that you need to put some monies aside, as a buffer for you, because things can just happen on sometimes we don't plan for some things, but they just happen. And if you don't have your good grasp of your cash flow, or you've not done your budget well, then you would have these kinds of challenges. And these kind of challenges can be very, very significant in business. Some businesses can handle it better than others, but some businesses that if you don't handle these challenges well, that is the end of that business, because it doesn't have enough leeway or enough room, enough buffer to absorb the shocks that these things will cause. So that's why it is quite important to understand cash flow and to be able to do your cash flow well. Steps to improve your cash flow. You see, I'm going to make this. I designed this to be very, very short, but I'd rather us have an interactive session, where I can give you practical steps and all that, because that is what is important. All the theory of this world will not change anything. It's how do I adapt this specifically to my own peculiar situation. That's I think that's the best thing that we need to do for ourselves in this. But okay, let's just go on. It says steps to improve cash flow. Invoice promptly and follow up on receivables. You have to be able to chase up money well. You have rendered the service. You have sold a product. You have to be able to chase up monies very well. That's why when you go to a restaurant, restaurants that know their onions, you pay. You can't eat now and say you come and pay tomorrow. It's impossible. You will pay. Do you understand? You have to pay. You can't say that please, I don't have money now, let me eat now and I'll come and pay you 2 days later. That's not going to work. You would have to pay. Is either you pay before you eat, as soon as they finish dishing out your food, or you pay me after you've been served. So you have to learn as a business owner to do your invoicing promptly and follow up on your receivables. When we say receivables, that means money is coming into the business. When we say payables, we're talking about monies going out of the business to pay your client, to pay your vendors, to pay everybody that plays an important part in keeping your business running. So that's what we mean by payable. So, and you have to develop a system that helps you get in money quickly. You have to come up with a system that helps you, that does not keep money outside of the business for too long. Okay, I like I said, I do commodities. I supply commodities, and some companies will pay you within 24 hours. Some companies will pay you for 8 hours. Some company would pay you in 3 to 4 days, some weeks, and some months. It depends on what exactly you're supplying them. But you see, the difference is that the people that pay you immediately don't pay as much as people that pay you in 2 or 3 days or longer, because the incentive of paying you immediately is that they pay you lower, marginally lower than if you wait 3 or 4 days or if you wait a month. Do you understand? So it's a model that people have to understand. If it depends on the kind of businesses that our participants here do, but if you do a business that you need to be paid instantly, because if you don't get your money today, you cannot, there's no business for tomorrow. So you cannot afford to let money stay outside the system for too long. You have to devise a means of, getting monies in sharply, because if you don't, like someone that is like selling, all these women that sell food for all these laborers and all that, they get their money that same day. There's no story, because if they don't get their money that day, they can't go to the market to buy materials to cook for the next day. So it's a mentality that you must have. You must be able to balance it well, depending, like I said, depending on the peculiarities of your business. Some businesses can still afford a day, 2 days, a week for their customers to pay. Especially like some service business, like someone that is into fashion now, you sew. I would advise that you get a deposit before you even start sewing. And then when you deliver, they can still delay you can still, play with your balance a bit, but you should find a way of making that your balance comes into your business ASAP, because part of the things that you have used for that person were from your inventory. The person brought in material, but did not bring in button, did not bring in thread. So those are the things that you need for your day-to-day. So you have to find a way of doing your invoicing well. Then 2, negotiate better payment terms with your suppliers. Do you understand? There's some suppliers that you can also, if you can get something from them on credit, but you have to be credit worthy, because if you're not credit worthy, nobody will give you. And that means that the first time they give you, the time you say you will pay, you pay. If not, you will not get your money. You will not get that facility. It will be withdrawn from you. And it is quite good, because it gives you surplus cash to play with. When you don't have to settle bills immediately, it gives you surplus cash to play. So if you can say, okay, you have a client that says, okay, if I buy it now, I'll pay 70% now, then I'll pay 30% after a week. That 30%, if you do that across the base of your business, 30% here, 30% there, 30%, you have money to do more. So it's a form of it's a practice that you have to inculcate in terms of, okay, reaching out to your suppliers, reaching out to your vendors and telling them, okay, you know what, and this is usually done over time. You must have been you must have had a business relationship that has spanned over some time, that you've built credibility, you've built trust, and that's when such things are possible. But for a new business, a startup, it might be very difficult to go and get things on credit without, except you have a personal relationship with such people. But such things are built on relationships, whether personal or whether financial, or one form or the other. That's the only way. But it is a good step to increase and improve your cash flow when you have built a credit system. The same way you might give some of your clients, like I said earlier on, but you even the clients you give to, you must make sure that you're able to get those monies as at when due. Do you understand? You must be able to get those monies as at when due. So negotiating better payment terms with the suppliers. Can I spread the payments, or can I pay for 10 and you give me 6? Do you understand? That's still a form of credit anyways. But instead of saying, okay, let me pay 50% for 10, why don't I just pay 100% of 10 and then you give me 6? Do you understand? So those are the kind of methods that you must adapt and deploy. Do you understand? To help improve your cash flow. Then we have said this, and I'm sure that based on the realities of even the Nigerian economy now, everybody has cut their coat according to their material, because cost cutting is a very, very pragmatic tool in business, and not just in business, even in your day-to-day activities as a human being. You have to learn how to cut your cost. You have to learn, because it has a direct proportion to your profits. If your cost is high, your profits will be low. It has an inverse. So if one is going up, the one is coming down. If your cost is going up, the profit is coming down. If your cost is coming down, your profit is going up. So it has an inverse relationship with your profit. So you must learn how to cut your cost, cut unnecessary expenses. You have to learn how to do that. You have to be able to discipline yourself financially. You have to be frugal financially, and that helps your cash flow. Because like you said, your cash flow is a very important aspect of your business. If you are not getting your cash flow well, I can bet you that it's just a matter of time. That business will die a natural death. So cash flow is very, very important. It's very, very essential for you to understand your cash flow and to know how important cash flow is to your business. Then you maintain a healthy cash reserve. Like I said earlier on, you must have a business plan that involves you setting some monies aside. And the only way you can do that is if you have done all the above listed items well. If you get money on time, if you're able to negotiate with people selling to you or people that supply you, and then if you're able to reduce your cost, your expenses, your overheads, then you have some surplus cash that you can keep aside. And it is very, very important. Imagine you've done your budget. That, okay, I'm going to the market with 100,000 naira, and this 100,000 naira will get me 20 bags of a particular item. Maybe let's say beans. So the 100,000 naira will get you 20 bags of beans. You've done your budget. You don't get to the market, and then that beans has increased though. This Tinubu era, beans has increased though. So beans is not like, so the 100 bags, the 100,000 naira cannot get 20 bags anymore. It will get you 17 bags. And because you have done your projections well, you know what that 20 bags, you know how much of, say, you're producing akara, it will generate for you. And you know that if you don't buy that volume of bags of beans, then you would not be able to satisfy your orders on ground already. And it leaves room for your competitors to go to your customers to go to your competitors, because if you can't meet all their needs, then they'll obviously look for alternatives. Do you understand? So that is where cash reserve comes into play. That, okay, so that means I need more money to buy the volume that I buy on a normal day. Okay, you just go into your cash reserve and you draw that money out, because remember that you will still in turn transfer the burden to your customers, because that means that you also would increase how much you will charge them for you. But if you don't have that base, you don't have that shock absorber that you have saved or you have kept somewhere, then things would affect your business. It would affect your performance. It would affect how you deal with your customers, especially when you have specific orders that you cannot but meet. You're catering for an event, and you're told to bring in rice for 100 people, and you need this amount of bag of rice to cater for, to provide that, and then you get to the market and the price has changed, and they've paid you already. Do you understand? You've been paid already. So what do you do if you don't have that cash reserve? So it is very, very important to always have that at the back of our mind when we're doing business, that even if you're making, and your cash reserve is taken from your profits. Do you understand? I mark that, okay, 10% of my profits goes into my cash reserve. No matter what happens, it goes into my cash reserves, because that will help you when you need extra funds to keep the business going. Do you understand? To keep the business going. So it is a very, very important aspect of the business, a very, very important strategy that we must. It's like someone says, it is a non-negotiable plan that you must always have something saved up. You must always have, I cannot overemphasize that you must have something that you save beside from your profits. You must save up. You must develop that cash reserve. You must have cash reserves. So if you're doing a business that you cannot have cash reserves, then you need to analyze your business very well and see the areas where you need to make adjustments. Am I spending too much? Is my pricing not right? Am I not pricing this thing? How is it affecting my profits? So it helps you, rejig your business and look at areas of excesses that you need to cut off. You look at how best you can, manage resources, how best you can, open credit lines that gives you that ability to do better. So that's, like I said, it's not an accounting class. So I'm just telling us the importance of these things and how these things affect our business. And so we need to compare. Okay, let's the next slide says budgeting versus cash flow, the importance and the usage of these two things. Budgeting is a strategic planning tool. When we say something is strategic, we're talking about from 5 years and above. Plan as in is a long term. In we have the strategic, we have the tactical, we have the operational levels in business. Strategic is talking about the futuristic plans of the business. Okay, how do we expand? Where do we expand to? How do we increase capacity? Do you understand? As in, and scale up from meeting needs of 1,000 people to meeting the needs of the whole city. Yes, so those are strategic plans, and that's what budget helps you to do. It helps you put things in the right perspective. Okay, yeah, that's no problem. So put things in right perspective so that you can plan well. Then budget focus. Okay, unlike cash flow is more tactical, it's more short term. You understand? It's more short term. Your day to day, week to week, month to month, quarter to quarter kind of usage of money. How you use money, how money is coming in and going out. You understand? So it is a short term kind of planning tool. Unlike the budget, like I said earlier on, that for big businesses, the budget is a 1-year plan, but we are not there yet. So your budget might not be a 1-year plan. Your budget might be weekly. Your budget might be monthly. Your budget might be quarterly. Because of the level, the state of your business, the level at which you are now. So someone will hear that the budget is for 1 year, and then you do a 1-year budget that is not feasible, or is not dealing with the realities of the business. So please, these things you have to adapt them to suit your business. Then budgeting focuses on profits and loss. The overall performance of the business, because like I said, every business is a venture that you have gone into to make profits. So your budget is to help you, maximize your profit making and reduce your loss making to the barest minimum. So it's a very good, because it's a long span planning tool. You have planned ahead, so you know what to expect and how to prepare for it. But cash flow focuses on liquidity, on the availability of cash, the amount of cash that you need to keep the business going, the day-to-day running of the business, the week-to-week running of the business, the month-to-month running of the business. So that is what your cash flow talks about. Then like I said, it's your budget covers a longer period, such as a fiscal year or multiple years. That's what budget does. But your cash flow focuses on short term. You understand? It focuses on short term events and activities of the business. That's what your cash flow does, because the turning around of money, how quickly and how well you do that within a very short time, a short space of time, and it is the basic bloodline of your business. Okay, so yes, can I just have 1 or 2 people come online, and because we're done practically. So, but let's just have practical, real life discussions that can help you deal with your business. So, can our moderator please open the floor for questions and answers?
All right. Yes, please. Okay, so I've dropped the link in the WhatsApp community. So if there's anyone interested in coming online, you can just click the link to join, right? But before that, you mentioned something that I need a clarification on, which I feel like other people might also be interested in. You mentioned about the 10%. You mentioned that we should have a cash reserve of at least 10% from the profit, and you illustrated an event where a vendor goes to the market. You've had a budget of a certain amount, but when you get to the market, and there's an increase in the prices. So are you saying that the vendor will not request for increment in their services to cover up that shortfall? They would still need to take the 10% to balance, just to balance that payment. I just want that clarification, sir.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much for that question. There are no hard and fact rules about how much percentage you need to have as your cash reserve. So I just use 10% as an example. So it's not the industry standard. Some industries have benchmarks that they helps them because of the peculiarity of the business. But you should have at least a percentage of your profit as your cash reserve. So in this case, you know that eventually you might have to renegotiate with your customer. Some would say, you gave me a budget. We've talked about this since April. I said, give me your budget, give me the cost of providing for 100 people. And you said, this is it. And I've sent you the money. So I don't want to know about any price fluctuation. Some people can be on that unreasonable. I've had encounters like that before where they said, Omo, you sent me your invoice since then. And so that's why even when you're doing your invoicing, you tell them that this invoice is for a particular period of time. This invoice covers 1 month. This invoice covers 2 weeks. This invoice covers 1 week or 3 days. Because that caveat helps you when there's a price fluctuation. You understand? But back to your case. So even if you're going to go back to the customer, look at the two scenarios. Do you want to call the customer and say, mommy, price has changed though, please send this amount of money now? Or you go into your reserves, you do the job, and then you invoice it that, okay, based on the recent increase in price, even though you call them that, when you're at the market, this thing, because you have to inform them that, okay, the prices have changed. So my invoice might most likely change. You understand? And you sort it out by yourself. Imagine if the customer says, okay, don't worry, go ahead and do it. I will pay the increase when I balance you, and you don't have money for that. What do? You have to go and look for money elsewhere. But in the case whereby you have that cash reserve, it helps you just get the job done, and at the end of the day, you get your money back. Because some people say, don't worry, go ahead, go and do it. That's why I'll pay it with your balance. So if you don't have that excess money somewhere, then you better have somewhere that you can run to and get money quickly that will be at 0%. Because if you get money at an interest, you have to factor that into your business. That is an additional expense. Right? So I just use that. That might not have been the best example to use, but at least that gives us the idea of why you must have a cash reserve. And like I said earlier on, it doesn't have to be a specific, it doesn't have to be 10%. Your business can do 10%, fine. Some people's business can do 30%. As a matter of fact, some people's business can do 50%, especially when you're a monopoly, that you are the only person rendering that service. And you can arbitrarily change price at any time. I know people will come for it. So it depends on the nature of your business. It depends on the industry that you're working at, because some industries have the benchmark that, okay, if I must have this just in case anything happens, because that's the amount I need to keep this business going forward. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, very, very well. You did justice to that, sir. Thank you so much. That really clarifies a lot of things, because we have situations where that actually happens, and just having that understanding. In fact, I think for me, I even have a better understanding of why that cash reserve is very, very, very necessary as a business owner. All right. So thank you so very much, sir, for that. I'm still waiting for questions. If you have your questions, we can go ahead. I've not seen anybody, made a request to join the live session. However, I just want to say this, that this has been a very insightful session. There's so much to unpack with what you have shared. I know we did a lot in just like in less than 45 minutes. There's been a lot of information, a lot of insight that has just been packed within this session, and I'm just so grateful to you, sir, for just giving of yourself, making it as practical as possible, that we can understand the language. We are not using big language that it's going to go over our heads. Just simple and very straightforward, that we can begin to apply now. Just understanding why budgeting, for me, I've even gotten a better understanding of why we even need to apply it into our own personal financial life, even beyond the business. We have to also have that, create that budgeting. And I've never heard budgeting like this. So this is really, really very practical and very insightful. So thank you so very much, sir. I believe that if there are questions, we'll be able to reach out to you, and we are also going to share your handle with the participants much later, so they will be able to reach out to you if they have more questions. But thank you so very much. It's been a blessing just having you on board. I really, really learned so much. And I can just imagine if we had like 2 hour session with you, we would have really, really like just gone deep and deeper into this. This is like an MBA session, masterclass already. So thank you so very much, sir. It's so good to have you here.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being here. And
Thank you,
yes,
sir.
I'm open to questions. If I think I have another session tomorrow, you can even just send the questions, and we'll take time to
Okay.
do all that based on what we did yesterday,
Okay.
today, and then what we'll be doing tomorrow.
Yes, sir. That's great. That's awesome. So thank you so very much, sir. So we'll see you tomorrow, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
And you too. Thank you very much. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
All right. Bye. So thank you so much. We've come to the end of today's session. It's been another session of learning and unlearning and relearning. Please, if you missed any part of this session, quickly go back and rewatch it. In fact, you need to rewatch the whole session. There's so much to unpack. I've been so filled with knowledge and practical wisdom on how to even shift my own personal financial life, how to start even understanding how having a savings plan and cash flow is very, very essential to a lifeline of a person, not to talk of a business. So this is very, very important for you as a business owner. You cannot joke with this information, you cannot joke with this class, you cannot joke with understanding how to manage your business effectively, because this is one of the major challenges of business, especially small business owners in Nigeria and in Africa at large. So thank you so much for joining tonight. We are going to meet same time tomorrow, and we are going to communicate for any further information. So just check our WhatsApp community for any information, and we are also going to share his handle so you can follow him online. Thank you so much. It's been wonderful having you. You always bring your energy every session. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye.